so excited, and we're glad to have the people here from Zoom also. So this is Zoom and Facebook going on at the same time. And I was sort of flat affect, and then I saw Kat's smile, and it made my day. So Kat, thank you for being willing to do this, and thank you all for being here. So Kat, let's just start out. Let's go ahead and start. And why don't you tell them a little bit about yourself?
I am 25. I have autism, and I like art and AAC.
Yes, and you're very good. And anyway, so that's a great introduction. Did you know? Tell them about when we first met. I didn't. These are new questions to you, but where did we meet or anything? Tell them about what it was like when we met, because I want to tell them what it was like when I met you.
We went to a restaurant. It was super loud, and I was super excited to meet the Hallorans.
Yes, you're the Hallorans. Yeah, they know that's pronounced better than most people do. Yeah. Well, we were so excited to meet you. I want to tell you what happened to me. I got this call from Jennifer Herzog, a PRC consultant, and she said, John, I met this girl. Her name was Catalina, and she was so excited about you. I mean, she just could not wait to get us together. And I wasn't reluctant, but we're also busy, and she wanted us to drive to you, and then you agreed to drive to see us, which was so kind of you. And then when you got there, you had all these gifts for us. One of them was this, you made this. How many hours did it take you to make this bear?
About 7 hours.
And ever since you made this bear for me, I've been buying more of them because I keep giving them away to people for raffles and things. And everyone's crazy about these bears. It takes you 7 hours to make one. We're going to give this one away. This is going to be like an infomercial for your bears. Do you like selling them? I mean, is it you? Yeah, why not? And so something you just did there, you said that, yes, when I met you, I said something about, I was so impressed with the way you used all forms of communication. And this is when you blew my mind the most. You said, yes, I use aided and unaided communication very well, or something, or I use both at the same time or something. And I said, aided and unaided, that's pretty amazing vocabulary. So anyway, I was blown away by you. And ever since then, we've been doing stuff together, and people are meeting you. And I just really am grateful for this opportunity. So then I'll never forget when Jennifer Herzog told me, she said, John, you're not going to believe this, though. She's moving. So where did you move?
My mom and I moved to Kansas.
Yes. Are you liking it up there?
Yeah.
Good. All right, and people are friendly?
Yeah.
And how many people live in the town you live in?
200.
Oh, so now 202. It's growing. You're bringing on population. Great. Well, I think the people of Kansas are going to be excited to have you in their state and meet you. I know we're sad that we lost you in Arkansas. I don't know if I have to ask this because I can look at you and tell, but do you like doing this sort of thing?
Yes, I think it is fun.
Yeah, well, I got to tell them, I'm jumping ahead myself. I might as well just forget that I got these notes to go by. But I had you do this event where you had to go a long time. I mean, it was almost 3 or 4 hours, 5 hours or something. And you had to sit there and just talk to people. And I kept watching you, and I kept going over saying, Kat, are you okay? Do you want to take a break? Do you want to stop? And you just kept, your smile stayed just like it is now. And so, but I was worried about you, and I kept saying, are you okay? And then I texted your mom right afterwards to say, is she okay? Because it was a long day. And she said that you, your mouth hurt from smiling, and you passed out. So asleep. So I loved it. That was just an amazing day for us. I want to tell you something else. So many of you don't know it, but I have been diagnosed with Parkinson's. And when Kat found out, she mailed me this, and there's no way I can describe how beautiful it is. But this blanket, it is the softest. You made this yourself. I can't imagine how many hours it took you to make this. But the color of this, the color of that blanket happens 20 years exactly, almost to the day, a few months off, Another individual I met who used a device made this for me, and it was from Madison, Mississippi. They called themselves the Mud Hut. And I don't know if you can see this, but I just don't think it was by chance that these two things couldn't have matched. Their color coordination couldn't have been better. And this has been in a prominent place in our house ever since I got it. And now that's going to go a similar spot to it. So Kat, that was extremely kind of you. I can't thank you enough. So anyway, I just feel very lucky to get to work with inspiring people like yourself. I'm going to change the, I want to show something maybe I'll do it, I'll just show it this way instead, because I hate messing with technology. But when Kat showed up, she not only had that bear for me, she had a notebook for me, and it was full of information about AAC. And then the most amazing part was, and I'm looking for it, maybe I have to do a share screen quick. The most amazing thing was you did this drawing of the LAMP method, and it was just done perfect. So someone says, is anyone else having trouble seeing John and Kat? I mean, let's stop just a second and make sure no one else is having trouble. Anyone else having trouble seeing us?
Yeah, I'm just keeping track of things. And if I could just, I put a message in the chat for everyone. We have the chat disabled, but the question and answer feature is enabled, and you should see that next to the chat button, the Q&A. And Cheryl said, I can't see anything. I can't figure out what's wrong. So, okay, thank you for the feedback. I can see everyone okay. So Cheryl, you might try logging out and logging back in, see if that helps you. And it could be just a technical issue on your end. So sorry to interrupt you guys, but looks like.
No, I just didn't want it to be everybody. People are so nice. They might have let me sit here and talk for 30 or 40 minutes. And
Yeah.
But the rest of you are seeing us fine, I think it sounds like.
And if it's okay for me to say, John and Kat have time to answer questions. So please go ahead and find the Q&A button. And if you want to start adding some questions, then we'll answer those in a little bit. Okay.
Yeah, if I run out of gas and Kat runs out of gas, we want questions. So anyway, I was going to show this quick if I can. I'm going to try it. I don't know if I should though. I'm going to do a share screen, and I want to show your work. If this is her drawing. If you can see it, can you guys see that okay? This was Kat's drawing of LAMP method, and look at that artwork. Anyway, I'll stop bragging on all your nice kind acts and everything, but I just have been flooded with kindness since I met you, and I just want to pay it back somehow. So are we back with each other? Good. Well, that was genius work. All right, so besides your gift there, what most people don't know is that you really, really love AAC. It's not like most people. Some people, you have a real passion for AAC.
Yeah.
And it's not at a level I think people understand. This is an example. I'm just going to hold it up because we can't. You remember what happened? What did I tell you after you wrote this to me?
To not share it.
No, it is the most blunt document ever written in the history of time. It's a review of all the major AAC systems out there. And some of it you nailed. Some of it, of course, you and I talked about and clarified why we did things the way we did. But I just blew my mind, the intellect you have towards this stuff. But I think that comes from using it. So did you just review all these products, or do you actually use them across time?
I have tried all of them.
Well, it's just amazing, your intellect at looking at them, picking them apart, telling us what we did wrong and how we need to do them better. I really would like to share, would that be done in private with each company to say, hey, she really sees what we're doing wrong here and wants to help us make it better. So you were worried about the stuff you said on LAMP Words for Life, but I wasn't. I want to embrace it. So I want you to know we're going to make changes because of things you see and say and tell us. So that was genius work. Okay. Let me get back so I get back to my questions. You want to say anything? Let's take a question, Kat. So does anybody want to ask a question?
I've got a really important question.
Oh, perfect.
From Alexis Glasser.
Oh.
She wants to know, how does she get a bear?
Oh, she wants to know how to get a bear. She wants one of these bears. Well, you either have to have moolah. I think we need to up the price too, because when I do it by the hour, I feel bad that I keep buying these from you. But everyone who signed up is going to get a chance to win this one. So this one's going to be a raffle. So that's one. And look at this AAC device on its neck. It's just charming. So anyway, I guess if you contact us and you really like making them for people and you like the money, then they can contact you or I directly, and we'll get it to you, and you just order one and she'll send it to you. It's the best $50 ever spent right here. When I say this thing is technically built well, it is built well. There's a lot of love in that bear. So, all right, so that we will have you full time making those bears before it's over, and I need you explaining AAC to the rest of the world and helping me learn it too. So anyway, so your insights are amazing, and I want to share some of those. All right, so Stephanie, do we have any questions? Any more questions? I really want to take questions from the crowd, from the people here too.
Yes. Well, there's a number of them already, but this one's really sticking out. It's from Miriam. I'm not going to say your last name correctly. Forgive me. Washfield. It says, Catalina, what would you tell a mother who says, I understand my child and know what he wants, so why would I make him work hard to teach him the device?
Could you repeat that one more time?
Absolutely. Okay. Catalina, so what advice would you give a mother who would tell you, a mom who would say, I understand my child and I know what anything he wants, so why would I, the mom, make him work so hard to teach him the device when I already know what he wants?
You may know what he wants, but other people will not.
You know, that's
Mhm.
but it is important she accepts what he's saying and casts back and expands and doesn't correct and make him do it, but rather make it fun in a game. So I'm helping to answer it with you, but you answered it perfect. But when we understand, doesn't matter whether you're a mother or a teacher or a classmate, if someone says something like yes or nods their head, there's not a reason to say now say it on your talker, because that really makes us not like it. So you're gonna have to make it a fun, make it a game, and just be honest with him, I think, and say, hey, some people out in the rest of the world don't read you as well as I do. There was a mother from Arizona that taught me about this. She wrote this beautiful blog about her daughter and her had a love language, and she didn't want to give it up to the communication device. And I've seen this throughout time, that a lot of times parents have the ability to read their children really well. I'll bet you don't have to use your device very much around your mom as much as, yeah, that's right. Because she reads you and you read her. And so much is said with non-verbal speech or using a device. So much is said through facial expressions and eye contact and all that. So a lot of it's said that way also. So anyway, I hope that mother got her answer, or the therapist got that answered right. But you did it. You nailed it again, Kat. Very good answer.
All right. Are you ready for another question?
I think this is what we really came for.
Okay.
So yes.
Well, it is a question that's being asked by a number of people, so you just answer it the best way you can. But everybody's curious about your journey up until this time, this moment where you're communicating with your device. So what can you share about, like, how old you were when you started using LAMP, how long it took you to learn it and be proficient like you are? Did you use anything else?
I have used high-tech device AAC for 10 years. When I was a toddler, I had a speech delay, and after that I struggled with profound disfluency. Before getting high tech, I used low tech and some speech. Though I can not rely on my speech ability, so that was hard.
And just to tag on, or did you want to say something, John?
No, go ahead. You ask it, then I'll follow up with that.
Okay, well, just to tag on to that, during this time period when you were moving to high tech, were you reluctant to move into high tech, or did you realize the potential?
I have always loved high tech, but it did take some practice to get good at it.
What was the first device you saw? I know this story, so that's why I want to tell it.
A Delta Docker.
So you spotted this Delta Talker, and then what happened?
I did a bunch of research into AAC and its history.
Yeah. Did you get that Delta Talker that you saw? Didn't you say you asked for it? They said they weren't using it. You said they gave it to you. So yeah, I love that story. So you're sort of self-taught. Yeah. Did your speech therapist help you out any?
In elementary school, they were mostly focused on helping my stutter, but AAC is a better tool for me.
Well, that's perfect. Well, that's a great, all right. I'm afraid we've already covered half what I had written down to cover because we just kind of went off our own saying that was really fine. So anyway, I've already described you. You describe yourself as a person with a passion for AAC, and I think you can see that's really true, and everybody can see that. I remember one time when someone told me, and you didn't know that did this. I remember one time when someone told me that I made the mistake during a presentation. This was maybe 25 years ago, and I made this mistake of saying that this kid had this, had an obsession for something. And this really insightful person like yourself told me, John, passions are not a negative. An obsession is a negative thing, but a passion is a very powerful thing. And it reminds me of one of the things we did in Words for Life was we left you a lot of architecture to add fringe vocabulary that's important to you. And one of the things that I think is important is that we give people an architecture that says, I'm not going to fill up, when I hit the food button, I'm not going to fill it up with every food that exists, because I don't know that you like to eat the Sonic, cheeseburger or whatever it is, the Big Boy or whatever, the Whataburger or whatever. It would be impossible for us to know everything that each person's put in there. But we can leave you an architecture that leaves you lots of freedom to program stuff. Some individuals I work with program very little, but that's not you, is it? You program quite a bit. So explain how you decide when to add a word.
I have programmed some core that I use frequently, like the words, organize, and process. I also add things I like to talk about, like Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat, or Star Trek.
There you go. Perfect. So, we need to give you an architecture that lets you say those things with no more than 3 keystrokes, 2 if we can, for most things. So when you wrote me that letter that said, John, what did you leave these empty icons for? Then I had to tell you, well, that was by design. And then you immediately got it there. Now that didn't sound good. I had a noise on my end. I hope that wasn't something going on that we didn't need to have. Steph will monitor that. But anyway, I think someone might ask this somebody, but do you have any other advice for parents? I mean, go ahead.
To be patient and let them explore their device, because that is how you learn it.
Yes, yes. And there's nothing wrong with just hitting buttons and to practice and stimulate yourself auditorily and play with sounds. There's nothing wrong with that. I think we're sort of afraid to give kids too many words. I say that we're afraid to give too many kids too many words, but if you have a child who only eats 2 or 3 foods, then there's no reason they have to navigate through seas of other foods trying to find the one they like. There's something I see kids do sometimes. They'll say, Jimmy is perseverating on just hitting lots of things. He doesn't seem to focus. And I always tell people to do me a favor and pay attention to what they stop on. Because oftentimes what they're doing is searching, and they're so smart and they're so driven to find the answer. And when they find it, they look up and say, there it is. But we think they've just been stimming on it for the last hour or so. But actually, he's looking for the carrot that when he found Oreo cookie, he's stopping to tell you, hey, I found it. Get it for me. So anyway, I think that's the other thing I always want to tell parents is I really look after almost 30 years of doing this, and I worked with so many parents. I want to start naming them, but there are so many parents that I've learned so much from. One thing they all had in common is all these parents that when I've seen usually a successful individual, the parent really owned the vocabulary. They wanted to be in charge of adding words, taking words, if a word needs something to be changed or something. And I encourage parents to take that ownership of helping their children, because they stay with them a lot longer than sometimes the therapists or teachers do. And they're not all able to add words like you add your own vocabulary, you do your own organizing. And sometimes you and I have had to talk about that because you and I talk a lot, but I've been telling you that sometimes what we do for a kid who's learning his first 15 or 25 words is different than what we would do for someone like yourself. And so it's hard to keep that too. My fear sometimes in showing someone like yourself too much is that then I hear people say things like, well, LAMP's really good for someone who has really good motor planning. But actually LAMP's really needed for the kid who has the motor planning problem, who is learning did you have a motor planning problem when you first started?
I have dyspraxia.
Yes, but the more problem you have, the more you need a consistent motor plan, not bigger buttons or making it harder. So
I think LAMP fits people who need that well, because it is so consistent.
yeah, and I don't know if people can count your beeps, but why does but I would love to have the people that answer the chat. Why does Cat leave her beeps on? But I would love them to answer it. But most of them would know. But Cat, tell them why you leave the beep on.
It is so I know when I have hit a button.
And do you have a key guard on your device?
Yeah.
Yep. Almost all successful users. There's some that don't, of course. Look at there. So the one thing they have in common is they all like the beep on almost. Not everybody. There's no 100% in the world. But most of them have the beep on the touch. That's been something I've learned through the years. And almost all of them universally use a key guard. And it allows for that fluid motor movement where you don't have to think. And they also have all their words can be said with 2 or 3 keystrokes and never more than 3 keystrokes. How many phrases do you have in your device?
I have one that says, this is a communication device for people with speech disabilities. I also have some that I use if I need to call the police.
Yeah, perfect. That's right. But you have the ability to add them if you want. One of the beautiful things we did in the architecture Words for Life again is we gave you the ability, if you hit on the top row, like something like yes, or any of the lot of buttons, there's completely empty for you to store your favorite phrase or your favorite word in there. But what's most important is that it's not hard to program phrases into a device. But what's really hard is giving kids and individuals a true way of parsing words where every word is able to be said individually so they can then hear those words and separate those words and have that language explosion. You told me a story about when you were younger, you thought that one word, a word was one word when it was more than one word. What was that again?
The TV show. That's so Raven.
And you thought it was that's a raven, one word. Yeah, that happens. Did you ever, when writing, did you ever not put spaces? Did you write without spaces? It's another common thing we see with individuals with autism.
My mom used to have me separate my words with a finger.
Oh, see, genius. Those are very common themes you have in common with the rest of the individuals who are on the spectrum or on the continuum. So, hey, Kat, you brought up something that, and let's take questions first. Stephanie, you got a couple questions for Kat or myself? I'm here too, you guys. I hate seeing Kat steal the show.
John, this is the cat show. I'm sorry.
Hey, there's only one. Hallorans don't like being separated from the microphone, and we don't like funerals because we can't stand not to be the center of attention. And so here's Kat. Go ahead.
Well, I do. There's a question from Facebook. What is or are your favorite features of LAMP?
Hmm.
Mhm,
Yeah,
yes.
they're asking you. They don't want to hear my opinion.
I just like how it is built, and I think it is pretty intuitive.
No, well, you should read. I should actually read your critique of what we need to do different to people. There were some really insightful things. I will say we can always be better, and I know it's into. I love it. Of course, if I don't mind if I add something, I don't think one of the most underappreciated things was the fact that we separated icons to make them more easier to learn. So let's say when you're saying mom is over here and dad's way over here. I don't think people know we separated icons to make them easier and visual perceptually, rhetorically easier, more unique. I never hear that as a contributing like what they love about LAMP, but that's actually one of our most. It's one of the few areas that has a little bit of research built into that we have coming from the field. It's also the one that makes it so beneficial to some kids who have problems with their fingers and touching. So anyway, all right. Do you have any advice for? Did I already ask you this? Do you have advice for teachers and therapists?
To not expect every interaction to be perfect, and to not make somebody make eye contact because it can be uncomfortable or distracting for people with autism.
Beautiful, Kat. And Kat, do you have other sensory issues? Can you tell people about some of your sensory issues?
I have a few things to say on that. Sensory processing disorder is the most disabling part of my autism, especially with sound and movement. When I was younger, I used to get so overstimulated that I would hit myself. Getting occupational therapy and headphones helped me A lot.
A beautiful answer. You know, when we first started talking, I asked you, is there subjects you just don't want to talk about? And we came up with the safe word was, I don't want to talk about it. So that's why I told you there's always the safe word. I don't want to talk about that. And it took you a while to talk about the fact that you used to hurt yourself and hit yourself. And then you said, then today you told me, I really feel like it's willing to talk about that.
Yep.
So I did some research on that. I Googled it. Ends up being that what I could find from more than one source was around 50% of all individuals with autism at some stage will hurt themselves in some way. Will have a period of time to do that. And I think maybe it's really important, and I'm so glad that you're willing to share that. So I think there's a lot of parents out there that have a kid who's maybe biting, pinching, and hitting themselves and hurting themselves. Yes. And I think they need to know that there's hope, that they're, you know, with occupational therapy, with sensory integration therapy, with being able to communicate, all those things can contribute to someone getting past that. And so perfect, Kat. Thanks for sharing that. All right, how about a question from the audience? We're having too much fun, but I want to make sure.
I'm loving it. Okay, there's another question from Facebook. Andrea wants to know, Kat, what are some of your favorite things to do?
I love to crochet, and I like playing the piano.
That's perfect.
That's awesome.
I bet you're great at it. So perfect. All right, Steph, you got another couple
I
more?
do. Well, a comment and a question. Sabrina from California says, Catalina, you are such a beam of light. And I agree. Your smile is beautiful. I was just wondering if you could already read before you started using LAMP. And I'm curious also, if you can talk about how your literacy developed and, you know, can you reflect on that with your communication development?
I started using AAC later than most, but I did have a really difficult time learning how to read when I was a child. The thing that helped me most was reading the Junie B. Jones books, because the humor was motivating for me.
Perfect, perfect. All right. Well, we are clicking right along. And all right, so you know I have a real bug about something, and that is this ability to produce words and so you can put them in novel order. So I have this new thing I'm developing. It's called the Be Best test. Can you say Be Best on your device?
Be best.
Well, I know you can. With 4 keystrokes, you said Be Best. But anyway, it's the AAC Be Best test. And you can't have to hear the word is, be, are, be, best. You have to be able to say Be Best. It's so you and I have talked about this already, so I already know. But it's really important that individuals like yourself can combine words in novel ways. We really have to. One thing that I would love you to help me with is getting people to understand the importance of being able to produce novel utterances. And when we give kids systems that predict the next word, which looks like a good thing to most people, it doesn't actually allow them to produce novel utterances, and it stops segmentation in speech. So anyway, I don't really have a question in that, but because you and I have already talked about it, so I know you agree with that. But I think it's important that we can combine words in novel ways. All right, so that that document you gave me blew my mind. So I'm looking at my notes and I already covered that, but I wanted to tell you that again, that what you wrote was so good. All right, so I have this strange activity I worked on half the day to teach about processing speech, incoming speech. I'm going to do it as quick as I can, Kat. Maybe I should just end with questions. Maybe I will. This I worked on all day just for this presentation, but I'm not sure it fits in. I think we'll just leave it chat with Kat. All I want people to know is that come to a training. Let us have at least a day or two of your time to really explain the importance of why we designed LAMP Word Select the way we did, so that you can get that segmentation of speech, which leads to that language explosion that you've obviously had and are able to generate these novel utterances with the words the way you do. All right, let's just take some questions from the audience, and then we'll call it a night, Kat. I'm paying you by the word, and I'm running out of money.
Well, this question might kind of tie into what you were just saying, John, and I'm curious to know, Kat, your perspective as well. It might be kind of what you saw your mother doing, but it sounds like this is a question from a mom. She says, I'm having a hard time getting my son's support staff to model and learn his device. They think they know what he wants. I want him to expand his vocabulary. He has an intellectual disability and autism. It's like we start over every time he gets a new staff and the learning curve is slow. I'm getting discouraged. Any advice? And this might be something John has more to say about than you do, Kat. You might remember as well.
Yeah, well, the first thing is those words you're saying is what almost every mother who's ever been on this, has ever been on the other side of this, has been through. And so I just want you to know you're not alone. And your team, the first question I have is really a crazy one, but or not crazy, but I don't want to be self-serving. If they haven't been to a training, I hope they'll sign up and go to a training. And if there's any parents in the room, there's ever a financial problem of going to a training and you email us, we'll get you into that training where your therapist has trouble, because I don't want to look like want to charge you for something. That's not what it's about. But you have to provide people the understanding of why we designed it the way we did. Just that earlier when I said we separated words to make the motor plans more unique, and we gave you individual words so you combine them in novel order. And then people have to play on the device enough to feel comfortable with it. And then what's going to happen is when your child starts getting successful, which does happen to kids even when you think it's not going to, that success snowballs on you, and then pretty soon you can't keep up with your children, and they're doing better than anyone. Did that ever happen to you where you passed your therapist?
My SLP was actually pretty unfamiliar with AAC in general.
Yeah, and a lot of us are, and that's not a bad thing, just so they're open to learning. So I encourage you to get your whole team to go to a training, and if you can, sit with them. And I apologize that the next year you got a whole new team, you got to go through it again. But we're doing our very best to get as much support and much training. On our website's a lot of information on the AAC and Autism's website, and we'll have a follow-up email that goes to everybody who's at least signed up through the Zoom account. We'll have your email, and we'll put some information about that. There's a lot of information on there for training, for free training and free things like this that go on. And I apologize that you're having to go through this, because our hearts go out to you. We want to make it where it's successful, makes it work, but hang in there, because a lot of parents have been in the same boat you're in right now and got to the other side. So,
All right, ready for another question?
sure.
I'm mixing a couple of questions together. Kat, about how many words have you added to your device that you've had to program in?
My device has about 2,500 words.
Extra words that you've programmed in. No.
Total.
But but Kat is a linguist in sorts. She only counts eating, ate, eaten as one word, and that's the correct word. I forget I forget there's some linguistic term for that, but that's because there's really 4,500 words. So above the 4,500 words that we call five words, I know you call eating, ate, eaten as one, and hungriest as one word. How often did you add it? Because Lance, my friend Lance, who's very similar to you, has added almost no words, a few hundred words, I think is what he says. I hate to put, I was thought about having him come in as a guest lecturer. He may be listening, but it's hundreds, but not many. Do you add words often?
Probably about once a week.
That'd be, you know, we're not talking about very many a year. Most device users are very happy within the words they have. You're opening up Pandora's box here that'll get me in trouble, but everyone thinks that robust just means more words. But you can be so robust for a lot of kids trying to learn their first 50 words, they can't find the passion words that are important to them. A really well-designed system has to have the fringe words that are important to them. Those are important, and the core words that fill up our speech. So you have to have core and fringe words simultaneously. And the core words and the fringe words that are important to you have to be very short keystrokes. And then you have to have this other architecture that's larger that takes you into things like fruits and mathematical formulas or whatever. You know, if you go to the shapes and you got things in there like isosceles and your kid's working on the first 50 words, it was just a little too robust. And so a lot of people just do word counts, say how many words do you have in your system, and if you have the bigger system, that's a better system. It's more about how it's designed too. So
there is another question. I know we kind of touched on this earlier, but I wonder if maybe you can elaborate. It sounds like a mom, Charlene. How do I get my son interested in using his device more? He's 16, and I feel like he should be using it all the time. So you were around the same age, if I'm remembering correctly, when you started using yours. And what do you remember about how you communicated with your mom and your family at that age?
I think a big motivator is the response a user gets from using the device and how people to react to what he says may get him to say more.
that's a great answer, Kat. And remember to use video modeling. And if you aren't using video modeling, learn about it. There's a self model where you see yourself talking on the device, a peer model where you see your friends, and there's something called point of view. And I want to add the one that I'm most favorite of is I love one called feed forward video modeling, where your son would see himself communicating at a level above where they're actually at. And there's a lot more to that, but then make sure they have role models. I think that's why I want Kat to do this. And then I'm going to add one more thing. Find ways to make your son someone who's giving to other people. Have him read books to kids or make videos for other kids, or have him get in front of the class and give a speech. Or one thing I've noticed in the 30 years I've been doing this is right now, it looked like this was a great thing for Kat to get to do, but this was beneficial to Kat because she's giving back to the community. And I want you to find a way to make your whatever level that person's at, even if they're at a 2 or 3 word level or 1 word level, find ways to make them funny, to give jokes and tease. Find ways to get them in front of the class and say 1 word and everybody gets to cheer or something. But whatever level they're at, but do find a way to have them be giving to other people. And then remember to use video modeling and live modeling, of course, too, when possible. So I hope that helps.
Well, we have,
Should we take
I think we've covered most of the questions.
Well,
Kat,
good.
you may not be able to answer this one yet, but it needs to become your mission, okay? If you're going to continue working with John. Christopher Jensen from Wisconsin, who works for PRC Saltillo, wants
Love
to know, he says, John has been telling a lot of stories about you, Kat. do you have any funny or embarrassing stories to tell about John? Not to imply that he's telling embarrassing stories about you. He's just excited to tell people about you, but we need to know any funny or embarrassing things you've learned about John.
I do not think so.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think even if Kat had one, she wouldn't tell it. She's got a very kind side to her. Someone asked her if she had swear words in her device, and what did you tell them?
I do not, because I am so scared of accidentally pressing them.
Oh, you're very kind. All right, and
Well, I've got one more. I got a good one.
all right.
Okay, Kat. Why is LAMP? Because you've got a lot of information about other AAC systems. Why is LAMP your preferred AAC system over others?
It is super fast while still being easy to physically access.
That's great. Great answer. Well, there are a number of technical questions like where to find trainings, where to get key guards, and some information that I would like to send to all of you in an email after tonight's webinar. So John, if you want to wrap up, I think we've covered most of the questions.
Well,
if you want to wrap up here.
Yes, we do. I want to thank Catalina for everything you've done for us. We've only known each other a short period of time. I feel like I've been working you every day since I met you, and you just keep. And what I wish I could show them the email exchanges that I don't know how you can generate so much information in an hour or two, but you are very insightful. You're very inspirational. You're a gift for our field to learn from, and I want to thank you for being here. And I really want to thank all the people that participated, that joined us tonight, took their time. They're not getting paid. They're getting an ask to see you. Thank you for being here. We really did appreciate it. So what a nice way to spend some time doing this with you, Kat.
Hey, and I lied. Another question came in that Kat can answer.
She gets paid by she gets paid by the word, and then
here we
cut her
go.
off.
Now, correct me, Kat. You did use LAMP on an iPad prior to your. Okay, is the AAC is LAMP on the iPad very different than on the Accent? And we know that the language system is the same, but what's your experience using the iPad versus the Accent?
The Accent is a little bit faster and way louder. It also has a beep instead of a click.
Very good, Kat. Just all right, Steph. Thank you. We appreciate it. Stay in touch, everybody. We'll send you. You can. Steph. How do we? Well, we get to send them an email. So most people, the Facebook Live people, know how to message us, and the rest of the people are going to get an email, so they'll have the contact information to how to order a bear, or how to get more information, or how to know to go to a training or something. So
yes, I'll try to work on an email tomorrow and do all that. You have, Kat, been invited by another PRC consultant in Canada who also loves to crochet, and she was kind of curious to know if you might like to just Zoom sometime and just sit and crochet together on Zoom.
We don't pay for that.
That would be great.
Yeah.
We're
Okay,
not paying
Arlene.
for crochet. We're not paying for crochet.
Yeah, it's on your own time.
All right.
Arlene's excited, so I might get you two connected. She's a great, fun person to hang out with.
Thank you. Thank you again, Stephanie.
Hey, you guys did great. Thanks so much, Catalina, for your time.
Thanks, Kat. Bye.